Have you ever wondered why a married man looks at you in a way that feels deeper than words? Why, even when he already has someone, his presence makes you question if there is something more powerful hidden beneath the surface? What does it truly mean when a man who has already chosen another life still desires you? This question is not simple. It is a mirror that reflects not only his world, but also the hidden layers of your own unconscious. Carl Jung believed that attraction is never just about the obvious. It is the language of what is missing inside us, projected into the other. And when this projection happens in the forbidden territory of marriage, it creates a magnetic force that feels impossible to ignore. This video will take you beyond appearances. It will uncover the secret reasons behind this attraction, the psychological truths Jung revealed, and the deeper meaning of being wanted by someone who cannot be fully yours. The answer may change the way you see desire, love, and yourself. The hidden mirror of desire. Desire has always carried a mystery. It is not only a physical pull, not only a spark between two people. When a married man begins to want you, the first instinct is to think it is about your qualities, your charm, your uniqueness. Yet in Jung's vision, attraction is rarely so simple. It is often a mirror, a reflection of what lies hidden in the unconscious, both in him and in you. This mirror is invisible, but its presence changes the air between two people, making every glance, every silence feel charged with meaning. Carl Jung taught that the unconscious is never asleep. It speaks constantly through symbols, through projections, through the strange and sudden feelings that take hold of us. A man who has already committed himself to marriage has chosen stability, duty, and identity. Yet his unconscious does not bow to vows or social rules. The unconscious longs for wholeness, for parts of the self that remain unexpressed. When he meets you, something inside him wakes up. It is not always about you as a person, but about what you symbolize, the energy, freedom, or vitality that his conscious life has neglected. This is why attraction in such cases feels more intense than ordinary attention. It is not only his eyes seeing you, it is his psyche projecting onto you the missing fragments of his soul. You become a mirror, reflecting his lost youth, his forgotten spontaneity, or the tenderness he has hidden beneath layers of routine. The desire is real, but it is layered. On one level, it is physical and emotional. On another, it is symbolic and psychological. He may not even understand the full depth of why he is drawn to you, but the pull persists because the unconscious does not ask for permission to speak. The mirror, however, does not belong only to him. It also reflects back to you, because when you notice his desire, something inside you responds. Even if you do not act on it, even if you resist it, the awareness of being wanted touches your own unconscious. You may ask yourself, why does his presence disturb me? Why do I feel the weight of his gaze, even if nothing is said? The answer is that his projection awakens your own hidden parts. Attraction always has two sides. Even silence contains an exchange. Jung explained that projection is one of the strongest forces in relationships. We do not only see others as they are, we see in them the qualities we lack or deny in ourselves. In this sense, when a married man wants you, it is often because you carry the image of something he cannot admit he craves. You remind him of freedom or of the fire he once had. Yet in turn, his attention may awaken in you the reminder that you are powerful, that your presence carries meaning, that you hold something that can stir even what is already bound. But mirrors are dangerous. They reveal truths, but not the whole truth. His desire may show you that he longs for something more, but it does not guarantee love or devotion. It shows need, projection, and hunger. But hunger is not the same as fulfillment. If you mistake projection for reality, you risk confusing his unconscious cry with a promise. Jung warned that what comes from the unconscious feels larger than life, but it is often a symbol, not a fact. Still, understanding the mirror of desire can give you clarity. Instead of feeling trapped in questions, why does he want me? What does it mean? You can see the deeper layers. You can realize that being desired by someone unavailable is not a random accident, but a sign of how the unconscious works. It chooses symbols. It creates attraction where logic would forbid it. The unconscious does not care about wedding rings. It cares about what is missing in the soul. The hidden mirror of desire also forces you to ask about yourself. Why are you the one reflecting his longing? Why does this situation make you feel powerful, curious, or unsettled? Sometimes the mirror is not about him at all. It is about you seeing your own light, your own magnetism, through the way he reacts to you. His want becomes proof that you carry something undeniable. But this recognition must be handled with wisdom, because it can either build your self-worth or trap you in illusions. To look into the mirror of desire is to see both sides, his projections and your response. It is to understand that attraction is not always about love, not always about destiny. It is often about the unconscious using you as a symbol, using him as a vessel to awaken something larger. This does not make the experience less real, but it does mean it must be seen with open eyes. For in Jung's vision, what appears to be romance can in truth be a psychological revelation. That is the hidden mirror, attraction that feels personal, but is deeply impersonal at the same time. It is him, it is you, and it is the shadow speaking through both. To recognize this is to step out of confusion and into awareness. It allows you to honor the truth without losing yourself in illusions. The mirror reflects desire, but the choice of what to do with that reflection will always belong to you. Before we continue, the Jung Method can help you. It shows the hidden patterns of love and desire. The link is pinned in the first comment. Why the forbidden pull feels stronger. There is something mysterious about what is forbidden. It often feels heavier, more magnetic, more alive than what is open and allowed. When a married man desires you, the forbidden nature of that attraction adds a force that cannot be ignored. It is not only about who you are, but about the boundary that exists around him. Jung would say this boundary does not weaken the desire, it feeds it. The more something is blocked, the more the unconscious longs for it. The rule "you cannot" becomes a whisper that says "you must." That is why forbidden desire feels stronger, sharper, more unforgettable. The human psyche is full of contrasts. On one side, there is order, duty, and stability. On the other side, there is chaos, impulse, and freedom. Marriage belongs to the side of order. It is built on rules, loyalty, and responsibility. But the unconscious does not live by the same map. Inside every person, Jung explained, there is a shadow. The parts of the self that are hidden, unspoken, and often repressed. When someone is married, that shadow does not disappear. It waits, and when a new presence awakens it, the shadow rises with intensity. The fact that it is forbidden gives it even more life. That is why a man may feel a stronger pull towards someone he cannot have than towards someone who is free. It is not logic that creates this. It is tension. The mind knows that stepping closer means breaking rules, yet the heart feels the thrill of danger. The forbidden desire carries two voices at the same time, the voice of fear and the voice of hunger. Together, they create a storm that feels impossible to ignore. Every small glance becomes a secret message. Every silence becomes loaded with meaning. The forbidden amplifies the ordinary. The forbidden pull is not only about him, you too feel it. When you notice that a man who belongs to someone else wants you, the awareness touches you differently than ordinary attention. You may not want it, you may not invite it, Yet the fact that it exists gives it weight. It awakens something inside you as well. Part of you feels the energy of being chosen in silence, of carrying a power that crosses boundaries. Even if you resist, even if you say no, you cannot deny that the forbidden makes the moment feel unforgettable. Why does the forbidden have this effect? Jung would say it is because the unconscious is always searching for wholeness. What is hidden calls to us with a force stronger than what is already in the light. When a man looks at you but cannot act, the very absence of action makes the desire grow inside him. The distance creates fire. The no turns into a kind of fuel that keeps the attraction alive. This is the paradox of the forbidden. The less it can be lived, the more it feels alive. This is why forbidden desire can last longer than ordinary passion. What is allowed often loses its shine with time, but what is forbidden remains suspended, always unfinished, always alive in imagination. The unconscious does not let it go easily. It repeats the image, the thought, the fantasy, because it represents more than the person. It represents freedom, rebellion, and possibility. And that is why it feels stronger. It is not only a pull toward a person, it is a pull toward a hidden part of the soul. Still, this force can be dangerous. Jung warned that the shadow is powerful, but it is not always clear. The forbidden attraction may feel like love, but often it is projection. It is the psyche trying to balance itself, to bring back the parts that have been locked away. It feels overwhelming because it is bigger than daily life. It is the unconscious spilling over, but what feels sacred may in truth be symbolic. The danger lies in mistaking projection for destiny, shadow for truth. The forbidden also creates illusions. It makes ordinary words sound like confessions. It makes small gestures feel like promises. This is not because the man lies, but because the unconscious exaggerates. It paints with stronger colors. It wants what it cannot have, and so it makes it larger than life. To see clearly, you must understand this. The forbidden feels stronger, not because it is always real love, but because the unconscious makes it feel alive. Yet you cannot deny its reality. To be desired in such a way is to touch a place where rules and instincts collide. It is to stand in the middle of a battlefield between duty and longing. That is why it leaves a mark. Even if nothing happens, even if no word is spoken, the memory remains. It stays because the forbidden is unforgettable. It reveals to both of you that the heart does not always follow the same path as reason. Jung's wisdom helps you look at this with new eyes. Instead of being lost in confusion, you can see it for what it is, a meeting of shadows, a play of projections, a symbol of what is missing. The forbidden pull feels stronger because it carries both desire and denial, both hunger and fear. It is attraction doubled by tension, and while it can be dangerous, it is also a powerful reminder of how alive the human soul is, even when tied by rules. The unspoken battle between duty and longing. Inside every human being lives a silent conflict. It is the fight between what we are expected to do and what we secretly long for. When a married man desires you, this inner war becomes clear. On one side, there is duty, loyalty, vows, and the structure of a chosen life. On the other side, there is longing, the hunger for passion, freedom, and the parts of the soul that routine cannot feed. Jung described this tension as the drama of the psyche, where the conscious mind chooses order, while the unconscious whispers of forgotten needs. Marriage represents commitment, stability, and identity. It is the conscious decision to live within rules and responsibilities, but longing does not vanish because a choice has been made. Longing belongs to the deeper layers of the human soul. It is born from the shadow, the side of us that contains the unlived life, the repressed desires, and the fire that refuses to be silenced. A man may honor his duty with his actions, but his unconscious may still reach for something more. That is why his attraction feels powerful. It is the voice of longing, pushing against the wall of duty. This battle is unspoken because it rarely shows itself openly. He may never confess the tension he feels. He may continue his daily life, fulfilling his role as if nothing is happening, but the unconscious leaks out. It appears in the way his eyes stay on you longer than they should. It appears in the energy of silence, in the hesitation of his voice, in the hidden intensity of his presence. Duty tries to keep everything under control, but longing always finds a way to breathe. This is why you feel the weight of his desire, without him needing to say a word. For Jung, the psyche is always seeking balance. When a man is bound by duty, his unconscious seeks release through longing. The more one side dominates, the louder the other side calls. If his life is full of rules and order, his shadow craves risk and fire. If his role is stability, his longing is for freedom. And when he sees you, his unconscious may project those qualities onto you. You become the image of what his duty cannot give. You become the bridge between the life he lives and the life he imagines. But this battle is not only his. You, too, stand at the crossroads. His desire awakens in you the awareness of your own choices. Do you respond to the longing? Do you respect the duty? Do you stand back, or do you lean into the energy that surrounds you? His unspoken conflict can easily become yours. The pull touches both souls, even if neither moves. This is the weight of the unspoken battle. It does not require action to be real. It lives in the air, in the invisible tension between two people who feel what they cannot fully name. The danger of this battle is that it can create illusions. Duty may make him act distant, but longing makes him act alive in small ways. The contradiction leaves you wondering which side is stronger. Is he a man bound by rules or a man ruled by desire? The truth is that he is both. He is torn between two forces, and neither will fully win. Jung believed that such inner conflict is part of the human path. It shows us the split between the life we have chosen and the life we still dream about. The man who desires you while tied by duty is living this split in silence. To understand this is to see the attraction with clarity. It is not only about passion, it is not only about betrayal, it is about the deeper truth of the human soul, that we are never only one thing. We are duty and longing, light and shadow, order and fire. His attraction to you is a sign of this. In a war, he is loyal to his chosen life, yet he is drawn to the possibility of more. The conflict may never be solved, but it explains the intensity you feel. It explains why his presence lingers in your thoughts, why the energy between you feels heavier than words. This battle teaches you as much about yourself as it does about him. When you stand in front of someone torn between duty and longing, you are asked to see your own conflicts. Where do you follow duty and silence your longing? Where do you carry unspoken desires that live in the shadow? The situation mirrors not only his struggle, but also your own. That is why it is powerful. That is why it matters. Attraction is rarely just about the other person. It is a mirror of the hidden parts of your own soul. The unspoken battle between duty and longing is what makes forbidden desire unforgettable. It is the tension of two worlds colliding inside one heart. He may never leave his duty, and he may never stop his longing. Both exist together, shaping his gaze, his silence, and his pull toward you. To see this is to understand the truth beneath the surface. It is not about weakness, it is about being human. And being human means carrying both order and desire, both vows and dreams, both what we must do and what we cannot stop wanting. When attraction is a projection of the soul, what does it truly mean when a married man feels a deep attraction toward you? To understand it through Jung's lens, you must look beyond appearances. Attraction, in many cases, is not only about the person standing in front of us, it is about what we see of ourselves in that person. Jung called this projection the unconscious act of placing onto others the qualities, desires, and emotions that we cannot fully recognize within ourselves. When attraction happens in forbidden circumstances, like with a married man, projection becomes even more powerful. He is not only drawn to you as you are, he is drawn to the image of his own soul that you awaken. Projection is one of the most fascinating forces of the human psyche. It happens silently, without planning, and without awareness. A man who is bound by responsibility may unconsciously project his lost vitality onto you. If his life feels controlled, you become the symbol of freedom. If his days feel heavy, you represent lightness. If he has silenced his passion, you carry the fire he can no longer express. The truth is that the attraction may say less about you personally and more about what his soul longs to reclaim. You become the canvas for his hidden self. But this projection is not only his, it also touches you. When you feel his desire, part of you responds not to him as a man, but to the image you see reflected in his longing. His attraction confirms that you hold qualities worth desiring. It may awaken your own inner fire, reminding you of the strength and magnetism you carry. In this way, projection works both ways. You feel powerful because his soul sees in you what he has lost. At the same time, you may project your own unspoken needs onto him, imagining that his desire proves a deeper bond, when in reality it may be symbolic. Jung warned that projections can feel overwhelming because they carry the weight of the unconscious. They do not arrive lightly. They strike with intensity, with a sense of destiny, with a power that feels greater than reason. That is why when a married man wants you, the feeling can seem almost irresistible. The attraction is charged not only with human desire, but with archetypal energy, the language of the psyche speaking through two people. It is not just him wanting you. It is his soul searching for its missing pieces and finding them in your presence. Still, projection is also dangerous, because what he sees in you may not be you at all. It may be an illusion, a dream, a symbol. You may carry qualities that resonate with him, but his unconscious magnifies them. He may see you as freer, brighter, more alive than you truly are, not because you are pretending, but because his soul needs you to represent what he cannot live. In this sense, the attraction is real, but the image is distorted. It is like looking into a mirror that does not reflect your true face, but a part of yourself through someone else's eyes. Understanding projection allows you to step back and see with clarity. Instead of asking, "Why does he want me?" you can ask, "What does his attraction reveal about what he feels he has lost?" This shift changes everything. It stops you from being trapped in illusions and lets you see the deeper truth. His desire is not only personal, it is psychological. It speaks about the longing of his soul, the shadow that demands attention, the parts of his identity he has silenced. You are the symbol that awakens them. At the same time, you must ask yourself, what do you project onto him? Do you see his longing as proof of your worth? Do you mistake his projection for love? Do you imagine that his desire means he is willing to cross boundaries, when in truth it may only mean he is captivated by what you represent? Projection can make attraction feel like destiny, but Jung reminded us it is often the unconscious, searching for balance, not fate writing a story. This does not mean projection is meaningless. On the contrary, it is deeply meaningful. It reveals the truth of the soul, the hidden desires, the parts of life that are missing. His attraction to you says something about him, and your response says something about you. Together, the projections create a space where both of you confront what is hidden. The energy is real, the feelings are strong, but the roots lie in the psyche, not in the simple facts of daily life. When attraction is a projection of the soul, it becomes a lesson. It teaches you about the unseen forces shaping desire. It helps you realize that being wanted is not always about who you are. It is about what you awaken. This awareness gives you freedom. You can receive the desire without being blinded by it. You can honor the truth of the moment without mistaking it for destiny. You can recognize that the power of projection lies in its ability to show you the hidden depths of the human heart. In Jung's view, this is not something to fear, but something to understand. Projection reveals what is missing, and by seeing it clearly, you gain wisdom. The attraction of a married man may never lead to action, but it always leads to revelation. It reveals his soul searching for light, and your soul remembering its own strength. That is the hidden truth. When attraction happens, it is rarely only about two bodies or two hearts. More often, it is about the soul projecting its own face onto another and recognizing itself in disguise. The illusion of love versus the truth of need. When a married man desires you, one of the most confusing parts is the way it feels like love. The glances, the tension, the silence between words. It all seems charged with a depth that ordinary attention does not carry. Many times it feels like destiny, as if the universe is showing you a hidden connection, but Jung would remind us to pause. What feels like love may not always be love. It may instead be need, and the difference between the two can change everything. Love in its true form is expansive. It seeks to give, to build, to grow. It is not afraid of the light. It wants to be known, expressed, and lived fully. Need, however, is different. Need is born from emptiness, from what is missing in the soul. It is hungry, restless, searching for a way to fill the gap. When a married man is drawn to you, it is often because you awaken something he has lost. That pull feels like love because it is powerful, but in truth, it may be the cry of a need that has been buried too long. The illusion of love begins when need wears the mask of passion. The unconscious is clever. It takes what is forbidden, what is hidden, and it paints it in glowing colors. The attraction feels larger than life, as if it carries eternal meaning. But this intensity is not always proof of love. It is proof of need. He may need freedom, so he sees it in you. He may need vitality, so he finds it in your presence. He may need affirmation, so he feels alive when you notice him. These are deep needs, but they are not the same as the unconditional giving that defines true love. Jung explained that the unconscious often disguises its needs as desire for another person. This is how projection works. The missing part of the psyche appears to be found in someone else. That is why it feels so real. Yet, when you look closely, you realize the energy is not about you alone. It is about what you represent. The danger lies in believing that need is love, because need can be powerful but unstable. It fades when the gap is temporarily filled, or when reality interrupts the fantasy. Love remains steady, but need often shifts and disappears. To see this difference clearly is to protect yourself from illusions. When his eyes linger on you, when his presence feels alive with silent desire, ask yourself, is this love or is this need? If it were love, it would want to step into the light, to be lived with honesty. Love does not hide forever. It does not survive only in secret. If it is need, however, it thrives in the shadows. It needs the silence, the distance, the barrier of marriage to feel alive. Once exposed, once tested, it may vanish. This is the mark of illusion. It grows in secrecy, but struggles in reality. This does not mean that need is meaningless. On the contrary, it reveals something deeply true about him. His need shows where his soul is wounded, where his daily life has silenced essential parts of himself. The fact that he projects this onto you does not make it less real. It makes it symbolic. He is not just reaching for you, he is reaching for the wholeness he lost. But this reaching should not be confused with the depth of love. It is a message from his unconscious, not always a promise of his heart. The illusion is tempting because it makes you feel chosen. It tells you that his desire proves your worth, that his longing is a sign of destiny. But Jung would caution that illusions can blind you. They can trap you in a story that is not truly yours. You may end up carrying the weight of his needs, mistaking them for love. And in the end, you may discover that what felt like a great romance was only a reflection of emptiness. This realization can be painful, but it can also be freeing. 2. See, the truth of need is to reclaim your power. It allows you to honor his humanity without losing yourself in illusions. It lets you recognize that his desire is real, but that its roots may not be what you imagine. You are not only the object of his love, you are the symbol of his hunger. And symbols are powerful, but they are not always permanent. By separating the illusion of love from the truth of need, you gain clarity. You no longer confuse his projection with your destiny. You see it as what it is, a window into his soul's longing. This awareness changes the way you carry the experience. Instead of being trapped in confusion, you step into understanding. You realize that need is not always bad. It reveals what has been silenced. But love is different. Love gives without demanding, builds without hiding, and chooses the light over the shadow. If his attraction is born from love, it will seek openness. If it is born from need, it will remain hidden, heavy, and unfinished. Knowing this truth helps you guard your heart. It helps you see with wisdom, not with illusion. In the end, the difference between love and need is the difference between fullness and emptiness. Love flows outward, need pulls inward. Love is a gift, need is a cry. When a married man desires you, the strength of his pull may be an illusion of love, but at its core, it often reveals only the truth of need. And to see that truth clearly is to free yourself from confusion and to walk with clarity, dignity, and strength. The silent power you hold without knowing. Sometimes the most powerful influence is the one that is not spoken aloud. When a married man desires you, even if he never confesses it, you hold a silent power that shapes the space between you. This power is not about control or manipulation. It is about presence. It is about the energy you carry without even realizing it. Jung believed that the unconscious communicates more strongly than words, and that silent exchanges often reveal more than conversations. In this silence, your power becomes undeniable. The power you hold is not only in what you do, but in who you are. Without speaking, without acting, your presence alone can awaken longing in him. He may continue his daily life, speak to you in ordinary ways, and act as though everything is normal. Yet inside, something stirs. He feels your presence in a way he cannot explain. This is not only about appearance or charm. It is about the deep resonance of your energy with the parts of his psyche that are unfulfilled. You carry the image of something missing in him, and that makes your presence unforgettable. The silence itself strengthens this power. When words are absent, imagination takes over. He fills in the blanks, creating a story inside his mind about who you are and what you represent. Every glance becomes a symbol, every pause becomes a possibility. This is the paradox of silence. It makes small things feel larger because the unconscious magnifies what is not fully known. And in that magnification, your power grows. You do not need to speak to be heard. Your presence speaks louder than words. But here lies the truth. You may not even realize this power. You may wonder why his gaze lingers, why his energy shifts in your presence, why he seems unsettled or alive when you are near. You may not understand that your simple being has awakened something he cannot silence. Jung would call this the influence of archetypes. The deep, universal images that live in every psyche. You may embody for him freedom, mystery, vitality, or tenderness. These are not roles you chose, they are projections of his soul. And because they are powerful, you carry an influence without trying. This silent power is not about guilt or responsibility, it is about awareness. To recognize that you hold such power is to understand the depth of human connection. Attraction is not always built on words or actions. It often grows in the unseen, in the space of silence where the unconscious is free to speak. When he looks at you with unspoken longing, you feel it. When he says nothing but his presence feels heavy, you sense it. This is the silent language of desire, and in it your power shines. Still, silent power can be confusing. Because it does not announce itself, you may question if it is real. You may ask, am I imagining this? Or, does he truly feel what I sense? The answer is that the unconscious does not need permission to communicate. Energy does not lie. If you feel the weight of his desire, it is because it exists. The silence is not emptiness, it is fullness hidden beneath duty. And in that hidden fullness, your influence is undeniable. This silent power also shapes the choices you make. Because even if nothing is said, you stand in a position of response. You may choose to ignore it, to let the energy pass without giving it meaning. You may choose to acknowledge it within yourself, but keep boundaries clear. Or you may feel tempted to step closer, to see what lies beyond the silence. Whatever your choice, it is your awareness that decides how this power unfolds. The silence gives you strength because it puts the decision in your hands. Jung believed that awareness transforms everything. When you recognize that his attraction is not only about you, but also about what you represent, you gain clarity. You see that the silent power you hold is not accidental. It is the unconscious revealing itself through you. You are the mirror, the symbol, the spark, and whether you act on it or not, you remain the one who awakened what he could not name. This recognition allows you to stand with dignity, instead of being trapped by confusion. The beauty of silent power is that it is effortless. You do not need to chase, prove, or demand. The energy exists simply because of who you are and what you evoke. This is why it feels so natural and yet so overwhelming. He may try to resist, to deny, to act as if nothing is there, but the truth remains. Your presence alone carries weight. And you may discover that this silent power teaches you something important about yourself, that you are more magnetic, more alive, and more impactful than you realized. In the end, the silent power you hold without knowing is a reminder of the invisible currents that guide human connection. It is proof that attraction does not always live in words, but in the unspoken language of the soul. When a married man desires you in silence, it is because you carry the image of something missing in him. His unconscious sees it, feels it, and responds, and without saying a word, you become unforgettable. The silent power you hold without knowing. Sometimes the most powerful influence is the one that is not spoken aloud. When a married man desires you, even if he never confesses it, you hold a silent power that shapes the space between you. This power is not about control or manipulation. It is about presence. It is about the energy you carry without even realizing it. Jung believed that the unconscious communicates more strongly than words, and that silent exchanges often reveal more than conversations. In this silence, your power becomes undeniable. The power you hold is not only in what you do, but in who you are. Without speaking, without acting, your presence alone can awaken longing in him. He may continue his daily life, speak to you in ordinary ways, and act as though everything is normal. Yet inside, something stirs. He feels your presence in a way he cannot explain. This is not only about appearance or charm, it is about the deep resonance of your energy with the parts of his psyche that are unfulfilled. You carry the image of something missing in him, and that makes your presence unforgettable. The silence itself strengthens this power. When words are absent, imagination takes over. He fills in the blanks, creating a story inside his mind about who you are and what you represent. Every glance becomes a symbol, every pause becomes a possibility. This is the paradox of silence. It makes small things feel larger because the unconscious magnifies what is not fully known. And in that magnification, your power grows. You do not need to speak to be heard. Your presence speaks louder than words. But here lies the truth. You may not even realize this power. You may wonder why his gaze lingers, why his energy shifts in your presence, why he seems unsettled or alive when you are near. You may not understand that your simple being has awakened something he cannot silence. Jung would call this the influence of archetypes, the deep, universal images that live in every psyche. You may embody for him freedom, mystery, vitality, or tenderness. These are not roles you chose. They are projections of his soul. And because they are powerful, you carry an influence without trying. This silent power is not about guilt or responsibility. It is about awareness. To recognize that you hold such power is to understand the depth of human connection. Attraction is not always built on words or actions. It often grows in the unseen, in the space of silence where the unconscious is free to speak. When he looks at you with unspoken longing, you feel it. When he says nothing but his presence feels heavy, you sense it. This is the silent language of desire, and in it your power shines. Still, silent power can be confusing. Because it does not announce itself, you may question if it is real. You may ask, am I imagining this? Or, does he truly feel what I sense? The answer is that the unconscious does not need permission to communicate. Energy does not lie. If you feel the weight of his desire, it is because it exists. The silence is not emptiness, it is fullness hidden beneath duty. And in that hidden fullness, your influence is undeniable. This silent power also shapes the choices you make. Because even if nothing is said, you stand in a position of response. You may choose to ignore it, to let the energy pass without giving it meaning. You may choose to acknowledge it within yourself, but keep boundaries clear. Or you may feel tempted to step closer, to see what lies beyond the silence. Whatever your choice, it is your awareness that decides how this power unfolds. The silence gives you strength because it puts the decision in your hands. Jung believed that awareness transforms everything. When you recognize that his attraction is not only about you, but also about what you represent, you gain clarity. You see that the silent power you hold is not accidental. It is the unconscious revealing itself through you. You are the mirror, the symbol, the spark, and whether you act on it or not, you remain the one who awakened what he could not name. This recognition allows you to stand with dignity, instead of being trapped by confusion. The beauty of silent power is that it is effortless. You do not need to chase, prove, or demand. The energy exists simply because of who you are and what you evoke. This is why it feels so natural and yet so overwhelming. He may try to resist, to deny, to act as if nothing is there, but the truth remains. Your presence alone carries weight. And you may discover that this silent power teaches you something important about yourself, that you are more magnetic, more alive, and more impactful than you realized. In the end, the silent power you hold without knowing is a reminder of the invisible currents that guide human connection. It is proof that attraction does not always live in words, but in the unspoken language of the soul. When a married man desires you in silence, it is because you carry the image of something missing in him. His unconscious sees it, feels it, and responds, and without saying a word, you become unforgettable. Why he can't let go, even if he stays. There is a strange truth about forbidden attraction. Even when nothing happens, it refuses to disappear. When a married man desires you, he may choose to stay in his duty, remain in his marriage, and never cross the line. Yet even with this choice, he often cannot let go of the feelings you awakened. The reason lies deeper than simple willpower. Jung explained that the unconscious does not obey decisions. It holds on to what symbolizes wholeness, and once it finds that image, it does not easily release it. That is why he may stay where he is, yet silently carry you in his thoughts, unable to erase what has been stirred. Why does this happen? Because attraction at this level is not only about the body, it is about the psyche. You have become a symbol of what he has lost or denied. Once the unconscious attaches meaning to a person, it clings to them as if they are the missing piece. Even if he decides to act responsibly, his inner world does not erase you. The symbol remains alive inside him. He may never speak of it, but he cannot unfeel it. His desire becomes a hidden presence in his life, walking beside him like a shadow. This is why you may feel his energy even after time passes. A glance, a word, or a simple moment may remind him, and suddenly the attraction returns with the same intensity. It is not because he chooses it, but because the unconscious repeats what it cannot resolve. Jung called this the persistence of archetypes, patterns of desire and longing that live beyond logic. Once awakened, they demand recognition. That is why he can stay in his marriage, yet secretly carry you in his imagination. He cannot let go because the soul does not release symbols easily. The situation creates a paradox. Outwardly, he remains committed. Inwardly, he remains connected to you. He may appear distant, but the tie is not broken. This is not only confusing for him, but for you as well. You may sense the pull and wonder, if he cannot act, why does the energy remain? The answer is that the unconscious is not satisfied by choices. It lives in symbols, and once you become one, you stay alive in his inner world. He cannot erase you without first reclaiming the qualities he projected onto you. Until he finds them inside himself, he will continue to feel their presence through you. This explains why some attractions never seem to fade. They may be hidden, resisted, even denied, but they remain in silence. He can stay, he can fulfill his role, yet in the private space of thought and memory, he cannot let go. You represent not only desire, but the longing for freedom, passion, or vitality that he has silenced. Until he heals that silence, you remain the living image of what he misses. But this truth is not only about him, it is also about you. His inability to let go affects you because you feel it. Even without words, you sense the invisible thread that remains. It can make you question your own heart. Do you hold on as well? Do you mistake his persistent pull for love? Or do you recognize it for what it is? The unconscious refusing to release what it believes is essential. Understanding this gives you strength. It allows you to see the connection without becoming trapped by it. Jung would say that the answer lies in awareness. If he could recognize that his attraction is a projection of his own soul, he might begin to free himself. But most people never reach that clarity. They continue to live torn between loyalty and longing, carrying silent desires that never fade. This is why he cannot let go even if he stays. He may choose his marriage, but his unconscious chooses you as a symbol. And until those two sides reconcile, the tie will remain alive. For you, the lesson is profound. You are reminded that desire is not always about choice. It is about meaning. To him, you mean more than you realize. You are not just a person. You are the embodiment of something missing inside him. That is why he holds on, even in silence. But this also teaches you about your own power. It shows that your presence has the ability to awaken parts of another soul that even they cannot control. You become unforgettable, not because of actions, but because of what you represent. In the end, the reason he cannot let go, even if he stays, is simple. The unconscious does not release symbols until they are integrated. You remain a living reminder of what he desires, what he has lost, and what he cannot yet reclaim. And until that day comes, you will remain in his thoughts, his feelings, and his silent longings. This is not about weakness. It is about being human. And being human means carrying desires that live beyond choices, desires that refuse to let go, even when life demands otherwise. The lesson Jung wanted you to see: every experience in life, no matter how confusing or painful, carries a lesson. When a married man desires you, it is natural to focus only on the tension, the attraction, and the unanswered questions. But Jung would ask you to look deeper. He would invite you to see not just the man, not just the situation, but the truth about the human soul hidden within it. Because in every projection, in every forbidden longing, in every silent gaze, there is a message waiting to be understood. The lesson is that attraction is rarely only about the surface. It is not just about appearance, not just about charm, not even just about chemistry. Attraction is the language of the unconscious. It reveals what is missing, what is hidden, what has been silenced. When a married man wants you, the desire may say less about you personally and more about the parts of his soul that he has abandoned. You become a mirror, a symbol, a spark. And in that role, you are shown how powerful the unconscious really is. Jung's great insight was that we do not fall in love only with people. We fall in love with images of ourselves that we see reflected in them. That is why attraction can feel so intense, so impossible to resist. The married man does not only see you, he sees the freedom he longs for, the vitality he craves, the tenderness he has hidden. You are the mirror of his lost wholeness. And the pull he feels is not just toward you, but toward the parts of himself that your presence awakens. But this lesson is not only about him, it is also about you. Because in this situation, you are invited to ask yourself, what does his desire awaken in me? Do I confuse projection with love? Do I mistake intensity for destiny? Or can I see clearly that his longing is a message about his own soul? The lesson you can carry is one of awareness, to recognize that attraction is not always truth, that intensity is not always love, that desire is often a symbol pointing to deeper needs. The beauty of Jung's wisdom is that it frees you. It gives you the ability to stand in front of desire without being blinded by it. It allows you to honor the energy of attraction without mistaking it for a promise. It helps you see that the power you hold is not an accident. It is the way. The unconscious speaks through you, and with that awareness, you are no longer a prisoner of illusions. You become the one who sees clearly, the one who understands. This is the true gift, understanding yourself. When you realize that you are more than someone's projection, you reclaim your strength. You stop measuring your worth by how much someone secretly desires you, and you start seeing the bigger picture. You see that desire, especially forbidden desire, is a mirror that shows what is missing in both people, and the wisest choice is not always to follow it, but to learn from it, to see what it reveals, to take the lesson, and to grow stronger. Jung wanted us to understand that wholeness does not come from chasing illusions. It comes from integrating the shadow, from recognizing what we project onto others and bringing it back into ourselves. The married man who wants you is not only telling you about his desire, he is showing you the unfinished work of his soul. And you, by recognizing this, are shown your own strength, your own clarity, your own power to see beyond appearances. So the next time you feel the silent pull of attraction that cannot be lived, remember this. It is not only about him, and it is not only about you. It is about the human condition, about the soul searching for wholeness, about the unconscious speaking in symbols. The lesson is to see clearly, to honor the truth without losing yourself in fantasy, to walk away wiser and stronger than before. And this is what Jung wanted you to see, that every attraction is an opportunity to know yourself better, to see the hidden parts of the soul, to step into awareness. The story may never be lived, but the meaning remains. And in that meaning, you find the gift, the clarity that sets you free. If this message touched you, if it opened your eyes to truths you had not seen before, remember, every story of love, desire, and longing carries lessons waiting to be uncovered. And we will continue uncovering them together. So stay with me, because in the next videos, we will go even deeper into the mysteries of the human soul, the secrets of attraction, and the wisdom of Carl Jung. This journey is just beginning.